Hello, welcome back to our exploration of A Course in Miracles. I'm so grateful that you are interested in journeying with me and practicing the lessons, going through the text. I know it's not a light work. It also has come with some controversy, but it's just fun. We're just here to explore. We're just here to check it out and to reserve judgment, but to just simply show up, practice the lessons, do our best. And so to that, I realized that I blew by lesson 18 and in the last video did lesson 19. So today we're going to do lesson 18. And as you know, we read the next section of the text. So the next section of the text will be still in chapter 18. It'll be section 5. So we'll continue with that. And then we'll also finish by looking at a principle of miracles. I'm actually recording this video a little bit late in the day because today was 42, 43 degrees Celsius in Adelaide. And so now I'm doing the video in the coolness of the air conditioning. All right, so let's go ahead and share the screen. And so we go ahead and click on Read A Course in Miracles. We're clicking on the text, scrolling down to chapter 18, and today we're in section 5, The Happy Dream. All right, paragraph 1. Prepare you now for the undoing of what never was. If you already understood the difference between truth and illusion, the atonement would have no meaning. The holy instant, the holy relationship, the Holy Spirit's teaching, and all the means by which salvation is accomplished would have no purpose. For they are all but aspects of the plan to change your dreams of fear to happy dreams, from which you waken easily to knowledge. Put yourself not in charge of this, for you cannot distinguish between advance and retreat. Some of your greatest advances you have judged as failures, and some of your deepest retreats you have evaluated as success. That's interesting. Okay, so just to remind you that the atonement just means the undoing. We're reminded of that in the principle of miracles, number 26, I think. Let me go back. So we're going back to the text, meaning of miracles, principles of miracles. If we scroll down to number 26, this is the second mentioning of the word atone in the text. The first mention is in principle number 25, but it's principle 26 that really tells us what atoning means. So miracles represent freedom from fear, and that's what this paragraph is about. Atoning means undoing. The undoing of fear is an essential part of the atonement value of miracles. Okay, so let's go back to our section, The Happy Dream. So what we're being told here is, if you already understood the difference between truth and illusion, the atonement would have no meaning. The undoing would be unnecessary. The undoing of fear, the undoing of guilt would be unnecessary. And another thing that's interesting in this section too is that last sentence, which is, some of your greatest advances you've judged as failures, and some of your deepest retreats you've evaluated as success. So it might be worthwhile to take a moment to ask yourself, to ask your infinite wisdom, to go into a quiet state of contemplation and to ask what that could be pointing to in your life personally, and then write down what you get. Just simply ask and just let the answers come. All right, I'm going to go back to sharing the screen to paragraph 2. Never approach the holy instant after you have tried to remove all fear and hatred from your mind. That is its function. Never attempt to overlook your guilt before you ask the Holy Spirit's help. That is his function. Your part is only to offer him a little willingness to let him remove all fear and hatred and to be forgiven. On your little faith, joined with his understanding, he will build your part in the atonement and make sure that you fulfill it easily. And with him, you'll build a ladder planted in the solid rock of faith and rising even to heaven. Nor will you use it to ascend to heaven alone. Okay. So again, this paragraph, like in the preceding section from the last video, is just reminding us that all that's required is our little willingness, our little faith. Let God do the rest. That if we attempt to remove our guilt, if we try to do that, we are actually attempting to do God's job. So there's a great freedom here that we're being offered. And I like the visual also that with him, you will build a ladder planted in the solid rock of faith and rising even to heaven. And you will not do that alone. All right, let's continue to paragraph 3. Through your holy relationship, reborn and blessed in every holy instant you do not arrange, thousands will rise to heaven with you. Can you plan for this? Or could you prepare yourself for such a function? Yet it is possible because God wills it, nor will he change his mind about it. The means and purpose both belong to him. You have accepted one, the other will be provided. A purpose such as this, without the means, is inconceivable. He will provide the means to anyone who shares his purpose. Okay, I think we can continue to paragraph 4. Happy dreams come true, not because they're dreams, but only because they're happy. And so they must be loving. Their message is, thy will be done, and not, I want it otherwise. The alignment of means and purpose is an undertaking impossible for you to understand. You do not even realize you have accepted the Holy Spirit's purpose as your own, and you would merely bring unholy means to its accomplishment. The little faith that needed to change the purpose is all that is required to receive the means and use them. Okay, well, that's a lovely reminder, isn't it? That happy dreams come true, not because they're dreams, but because they're happy. And because they're happy, they must be loving. And so it's love that moves mountains. It's love that lifts hearts. It's love that changes the particles and waves that makes up what we experience as the world. And we're also being shown a possibility that with our little willingness, with our little faith, it's enough for thousands to awaken also, to rise to heaven also. All right, so let me share the screen again. Paragraph 5. It is no dream to love your brother as yourself, nor is your holy relationship a dream. All that remains of dreams within it is that it is still a special relationship. Yet it is very useful to the Holy Spirit, who has a special function here. It will become the happy dream through which he can spread joy to thousands on thousands who believe that love is fear, not happiness. Let him fulfill the function that he gave to your relationship by accepting it for you, and nothing will be wanting that would make of it what he would have it be. And so what this paragraph is saying is that even though the relationship may still be special, in as much as guilt, fear, doubt, attack is still part of the ingredients of it, still the Holy Spirit can use it for its function, because its function is true and pure. All right, let's keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Paragraph 6. When you feel the holiness of your relationship is threatened by anything, stop instantly and offer the Holy Spirit your willingness, in spite of fear, to let him exchange this instant for the Holy One that you would rather have. He will never fail in this. But forget not that your relationship is one, and so it must be that whatever threatens the peace of one is an equal threat to the other. The power of joining its blessing lies in the fact that it is now impossible for you or your brother to experience fear alone, or to attempt to deal with it alone. Never believe that it is necessary or even possible. Yet, just as this is impossible, so is it equally impossible that the holy instant come to either of you without the other, and it will come to both at the request of either. Okay, I love it when the text gives us a prescription, a direction, a little tool to help us. And so in this case, in the context of a relationship, and this is any relationship, the relationship you have with your partner, it's the relationship you have with your kids, it's the relationships you have at work, it's the relationship you have with your in-laws, it's the relationship you have with people you haven't even met, maybe through social media or online or through the television. So when you feel the holiness, which is the peace and the lovingness, the curiosity within a relationship, in the context of a relationship, and you feel that that is threatened, when your peace is threatened, when your love is threatened, when you're feeling attack thoughts coming in, the invitation here is to stop instantly, to catch it, and to stop instantly, and then offer the Holy Spirit your willingness, in spite of the fear, to let him exchange these attack thoughts, the judgment, the fear. The Course in Miracles throws the word hate around pretty easily. So it feels appropriate to use it here, that even if you feel that feeling of resentment or hate creeping in, you're to offer this to the Holy Spirit and let him exchange your hatred, your attack thoughts, your fear for the holy instant, the peace which you would rather have. And when we become masters of this practice, it's an example, it's an action showing our willingness, then it's not just our hearts that we liberate, it's not just our own minds that we liberate, but we also, through that willingness and through our faith, help liberate others. This is what this paragraph is telling us. And the Course repeats this often, that we're not doing this alone. All right, so let's continue to paragraph 7, last one, and we have a prayer. Whoever is saner at the time the threat is perceived should remember how deep his indebtedness to the other and how much gratitude is due him, and be glad that he can pay his debt by bringing happiness to both. Let him remember this and say, I desire this holy instant for myself, that I may share it with my brother whom I love. It is not possible that I can have it without him, or he without me. Yet it is wholly possible for us to share it now. And so I choose this instant as the one to offer to the Holy Spirit, that his blessing may descend on us and keep us both in peace. Okay, so this would be a very high spiritual practice within the context of our own interpersonal relationships, our family relationships, when we catch ourselves, when we realize that, oh, you know what, in response to something that you said that I didn't like, that I didn't want, that I didn't expect, or something that you did, I now have these unpleasant feelings. I have a resentment inside of me. I've experienced a flash of anger, and my mind is going into attack thoughts. My mind is going into punishing thoughts. And that doesn't feel good to me. I'm going to choose to hand this over to the Holy Spirit so that the Holy Spirit can turn this into a holy instant, so that peace is once again restored inside of me. This could be something that you could just share. You're not asking them to do it with you. You're not asking for any kind of response. You're not asking for validation or acknowledgement or agreement. It's just simply you sharing. And it would be a wonderful experiment to see what comes out of that, to see what if anything, shifts. If a miracle is received just through articulating what you've noticed and your willingness. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again. Okay, so from here we click on the workbook for the students. We're going to type in lesson 18, and I'm going to have the narrator read the lesson for us.
Lesson 18. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. The idea for today is another step in learning that the thoughts which give rise to what you see are never neutral or unimportant. It also emphasizes the idea that minds are joined, which will be given increasing stress later on. Today's idea does not refer to what you see as much as to how you see it. Therefore, the exercises for today emphasize this aspect of your perception. The 3 or 4 practice periods which are recommended should be done as follows. Look about you, selecting subjects for the application of the idea for today as randomly as possible, and keeping your eyes on each one long enough to say, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see blank. Conclude each practice period by repeating the more general statement, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. A minute or so, or even less, will be sufficient for each practice period.
Okay, so this practice is one with eyes open. And so, as always, just start to settle into the support of the chair, the support of the floor. Just bring your attention home to your own aliveness, noticing where the body ends and the air begins, where the body ends and the furniture begins. And just giving yourself permission to be where the body is, to be where your feet are. And perhaps go ahead and take a nice centering breath. And again, the idea for today's lesson is I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again so that you can see the language. So take a nice centering breath while I start the timer. And as you look about you, selecting subjects for the application of today's idea, saying to yourself, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see. And now say to yourself, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. And so again, you're being invited to practice this 3 or 4 times a day. Our practice period was for a minute. I think the easiest way to structure the practice periods is around mealtime, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you want to practice at another time in there, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, and so really all this lesson is pointing to is that we share our vision, that our vision of the world around us is a shared one, that we're not alone in experiencing the effects of what we see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again. And coming back to the text to look at the principle of miracles, we alighted on number 26. And so let's pick up from where we left off 2 videos ago, and we'll look at number 37. A miracle is a correction introduced into false thinking by me. It acts as a catalyst, breaking up erroneous perception and reorganizing it properly. This places you under the atonement principle, where perception is healed. Until this has occurred, knowledge of the divine order is impossible. Okay, and so remember that the word atonement is undoing, the undoing of fear, the undoing of fear-based perception. And so again, a miracle is a correction introduced into false thinking by me meaning the Holy Spirit, acting as a catalyst, breaking up erroneous perception and reorganizing it properly. Okay, and so when this takes place, when true vision takes place, the particles and waves that make up the physical world shifts. And this is what we would consider to be a miracle: miraculous healings, miraculous shifts in feeling states, from depression to joy, to peace, or other supernatural manifestations that one can't even imagine. But the anecdotes are out there, the stories are out there, if we're open to listening to them. And they exist in our history as well. All right, so we're going to finish up with that. And so thank you again for joining with me. And as always, I just remind you to take a look at the alilacenter.org website to join any of the online offerings. Every month I offer a mindfulness-based meditation class. It's on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, Eastern Time. And I also offer on the 4th Monday of the month, 7 p.m. Eastern, a meditation, natural healing, self-help class. And the purpose of these, and the reason why I bring them up every video, is because they create the conditions for miracles. And that's what we're doing here. We're doing our best. We're showing up to create the conditions for miracles. That's what we can do. And I apologize for the messing up of the lessons, but at the end of the day, there are no mistakes. And so somehow this is the order that the lessons needed to be done in our little experiment. We'll be back on track for the next video. All right. Have a great day. Bye.